Magandang araw sa inyo lahat. Sa video na to, kilalanin natin ang legend ng US Marine Snipers. Walang iba kundi si Carlos Norman Hathcock. Siya yung nasa larawan. Ang video na to ay inspired mula sa isang libro na aking nabasa, One Shot, One Kill, nasulat ni Charles Sasser at ni Craig Roberts. At isa sa mga na-feature sa libro na ito ay ang istorya mismo ni Carlos Norman Hathcock, yung kanyang personal account sa Vietnam War na kung saan ay napasabak siya doon sa Hill 155 at doon sa Elephant Valley. No? Ito ay during the Vietnam War. Ngayon, tingnan natin dito sa content ng Infographic Show kung tama ba ang pagkadipict ng ating subject matter expert sa snipers na walang iba kundi si White Feather. Yan. Ito yon. Tara, samahan niyo ko na panoorin ito.
Bamboo and tall grass, the wind picks up and sways the long grasses for a few moments. In those precious moments, an American sniper, dressed head to toe in a camouflage ghillie suit, inches forward a few centimeters. When the wind dies, he stops dead in his tracks and will not move forward again until there's a fresh breeze. If no wind comes, though, he resolves himself to continue toward his target, 1.5 miles away, by crawling at the incredible rate of 12 inches an hour. His moves are so slow and methodical that even the local wildlife fails to spot him, and deer feed directly in front of and around him. A deadly viper slithers past and over the American soldier, completely oblivious to the sniper's presence. 4 days later, his agonizingly slow crawl will be complete, and his high-value target, a North Vietnamese general, will be dead. A single round through his chest. Compliments of the White Feather, Carlos Hathcock, the legendary Vietnam War sniper.
Yan, yung kinukwento dito ay yung kanyang mission na hanapin at i-take down ang isang Vietnamese general na siyang pinakakilabot na commander doon sa kanilang area of operations. At yung nilidescribe nung show, yung infographic show, ay ang stalking skills ni Carlos Hathcock. Kung bakit napakahalaga para sa mga snipers na hindi ma-detect dahil minsan mag-move sila mag-isa, kagaya nung kanyang ginawa, o kaya dalawahan lamang. Ayan.
Carlos Hathcock grew up learning how to shoot and dreamed of being a U.S. Marine his entire life. Hearing of the heroic tales of valor performed by American Marines in places such as Okinawa, Midway, and Guadalcanal, at just 17 years old, he joined the U.S. Marines, and in 1965, 6 years later, he won the Wimbledon Cup Shooting Championship, designating as one of the top marksmen in the United States. In 1965, President Johnson ordered ground troops to Vietnam and signaled the start of the American ground war against the North Vietnamese and their Viet Cong allies. A year later, Hathcock was deployed to Vietnam, where he would serve as a military policeman, but upon arriving, he immediately volunteered for combat duty. Given his incredible marksmanship, he was transferred to the 1st Marine Sniper Platoon. At the time,
ang nakadiscover sa kanya ay si Captain Edward Land na siyang nagbuo ng mga sniper unit dahil sila ang i-snipe doon sa lugar na yon, no? At dahil sa kanyang pagiging champion sa Camp Perry at saka sa Wimbledon ay nakitaan siya ng kakayahan. Siyempre, gustong-gusto niya yon dahil ang kanyang background ay bilang isang sniper. Na-adapt siya ng kanyang lola, no? At tumira siya sa woods, no? Parang kung sa atin ay probinsya. At dahil gusto niya makasuporta sa pagkain, nang-hunting siya. So, yan ang kanyang background, pagiging shooter, pagiging hunter, bago siya naging sniper, no? Isa sa legend sa Vietnam.
Stationed at Hill 55 south of Da Nang, so near the front lines, Hathcock would very quickly put his elite shooting skills to use, and he even went so far as to wear a white feather on his bush hat so as to dare the North Vietnamese to spot him, a move that would earn him his lifelong.
Actually, yung white feather na ginagamit niya dyan, sabi pa niya dito, sa kwento niya dito sa libro na to ay parang luck, parang sabi natin lucky charm. Then dahil nung isa sa mga mission niya, gumagapang siya, nagliparan yung mga ibon at merong nalaglag na ganyan. So sinusuot niya yan at bihira lang niyang tanggalin yan. Although, di ba, violation yan sa SOP, sa camouflage and concealment dahil siyempre puti tapos andun siya naggapang-gapang siya, hindi dapat siya makita pero suot niya yan. So nakilala rin siya dahil pinahunting siya ng mga snipers, isang platoon na snipers nakadedicate para hanapin si White Feather. So nakilala siya bilang si Long Trang. Yan, nakalagay yan dito sa libro if you read One Shot, One Kill.
Nickname. Hathcock was soon dispatching enemy snipers, and his preferred time to hunt was sunrise and sundown. As he'd go on to explain later, first light and last light are the best times. In the morning, they're going out after a good night's rest.
Ganito yon, yung mga kalaban, doon sa kanilang pwesto, sabi natin sa kanilang detachments, outpost nila, ay meron ding nakadeploy para huntingin. Sino yan? Si Hathcock. Sino yan? Si Long Trang. At dahil doon, mas kampante pa si Hathcock na lalabas at mag-hunting. Counter-sniping tawag doon. Mag-hunting ng kalaban ng mga snipers.
Smoking, laughing. When they come back in the evenings, they're tired, lollygagging, and not paying attention to detail. Hathcock would take advantage of the drop in the enemy's guard during these crucial hours to great effect, scoring 93 confirmed kills and over 300 unconfirmed kills. His skills soon made him a unit trainer.
Yung sinasabing 93 confirmed kills, yan lamang ang official na nabilang dahil ang yung tally na yan ay dapat confirm ng isang officer o ng kanyang spotter. So mayroong mga talaga siya, mga mission na siya lang mag-isa at hindi mai-consider as an official na bilang. Pero sabi nila, according to this book, there could be 200 more, no? Sa na kaniyang na-accomplish bilang sniper diyan sa Vietnam. At imbitahin ko kayo, basahin pa ninyo yung isa pang libro tungkol naman kay Chuck Mawini. Mas marami 'yon, mas maraming score 'yon sa kaniyang combat scoreboard bilang sniper din sa Vietnam.
And he started training other snipers on how to move silently through the thick jungle, marksmanship skills, and the all-important art of camouflage. His skills would soon be put to the ultimate test when a top-secret mission came down the pipe, and Hathcock volunteered for it, remarking that he knew nothing about the details, except that it was extremely dangerous and extremely...
Merong sinasabi na sa isa sa mission ni Hathcock, nakabaril daw siya ng kaaway niya na sniper, tinamaan sa scope. Ngayon, mayroong pag-aaral tungkol dyan kung totoo ba talaga sa Mythbuster. Totoo ba na kung mabaril ka sa scope ay mamatay yung nakasilip doon sa scope? Nakikita din natin to sa Private Ryan, di ba? Sa World War II, meron din ganun na scene. Ngayon, imbitahin ko kayo dito sa Mythbuster. Ito yon. Gamit ang 30-06 na round. Ang 30-06 caliber 30 parang sa M14 din yan, pero mas malaki yung kanyang basyo. Pero parang 308 din yan, 30-06 ang pangalan. Ito yun.
The softer, modern bullet fragmented inside the scope. The sniper's eye was undamaged.
So yan, ginamitan ng dati ng mas lower na caliber na bala at nakita nila na parang hindi sapat, hindi matamaan, hindi mamatay yung tao na nakasilip doon sa scope. So ginamitan nila ng 30-06, ito yon, kagaya ng bala ng Garand, Garand rifle, yan.
The guys move on to a 173 grain.
Si Carlos Hathcock, ang gamit niya ay yung Winchester 70 30-06.
30-06 round.
Tingnan mo.
It's a harder bullet with much more penetrating power.
That looks like a good shot.
Tinamaan kaya?
But it still can't make it all the way through the scope.
The bullet made it all the way through and obliterated the glass, but it still was just sitting right there.
Hindi nakalampas. So may iba pang bala na itry.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
You feeling good? You gonna make the shot?
Yeah.
It's not until Alan unveils some armor-piercing ammo and Jamie pulls off the perfect shot
Yun.
That hole is right down the middle of the scope.
that the dummy gets one in the eye.
All right, I'm gonna cut this chunk out.
Nakita nyo? Mythbuster tawag dyan. Okay? So, babalik tayo doon sa story ni Carlos Hathcock, ha? Yung kanyang mission na hanapin yung general ng People's Army of North Vietnam. Yan.
Important. That mission turned out to be the elimination of a North Vietnamese army general, an all-important link in the command.
Yan siya tawag na mission unspoken, destination unknown. I don't even know if I'm ever coming home. Yan. Si Carlos Hathcock, nag-deploy siya for this mission. Siya lang mag-isa at hindi niya alam ano ang kanyang mission. Doon na lang niya nalaman later on na yun pala yung kanyang target.
Command and control chain of the North Vietnamese army, which had so far eluded capture or destruction. All the Americans had to go on was some rough intel that said the general was safely tucked away in a large North Vietnamese encampment, though they didn't know where exactly. Hathcock's job would be to do what platoons of infantry and squadrons of strike aircraft couldn't do: sneak up to the encampment, locate the general, and eliminate him. For days, he hiked through the thick bush in the direction of the encampment, avoiding North Vietnamese patrols the entire
Kunikwento din niya yan dito sa libro. Sino sa inyo gustong humiram nitong libro ko?
way. This would be a solo mission. He turned down a spotter, fearing that any additional soldiers accompanying him would only increase the odds of discovery.
Ayaw na magsama ng kabady. Violating SOP kasi ang deployment natin ngayon ng snipers ay minimum body yan. Dalawa.
Deep down inside, the mission felt like a suicide mission, and Hathcock did not want to endanger fellow Marines if he could help it. At last, Hathcock arrived to the target area, and here he had to make a choice. Thick woods surrounded the camp on 3 sides, and would be the most obvious approach for a sniper, as it gave the best cover and concealment. However, that was exactly why Hathcock opted not to make his approach from the thick woods. It would be the most expected avenue of attack, and if he made his shot, it would be directly where enemy forces would head trying to flush him out. Instead, Hathcock opted to approach the camp from a different direction, an area of grassland that offered some cover in the form of bamboo shoots and tall grasses, but in many places offered little to no cover as the grass thinned.
Ang ibig sabihin, sa pag-execute niya ng mission, i-analyze niya saan ako mag-approach. Doon ba ako sa masukal? Siyempre, yon ang most expected avenue of approach. At meron kaming tinatawag na counter-sniper na measures. At yun ang rat-ratin ng kaaway. Andun yung caliber 50 machine gun nakaumang doon sa most probable avenue of approach. Or ang artillery fire, yung kanyang mga kanyon, mortar doon nakaumang. So pinili niya yung merong concealment pero walang cover. Doon sa kabila, may cover pero yun ang expected ng kalaban. According to his analysis, ang tawag dyan, MET-TC consideration, mission, enemy, time, troops available, terrain, at civilian considerations. Do pagbase sa kanyang analysis, nag-come up siya ng option, dito ako dadaan. Yan.
Casual observer, the fourth approach was completely suicidal, but Hathcock was confident in his abilities to remain undetected. He would need to move in to at least 700 yards to make his shot, and that would mean that he needed to cross over 1,500 yards of open ground to get into a good shooting position. To do this, Hathcock stashed most of his equipment and loaded himself only with several canteens of water, his rifle, and a few rounds of ammunition. Then he began to low crawl to his objective, using a technique he called worming, which saw him move forward at the painfully slow rate of just inches every hour.
Skull drag.
This would make his movements so impossibly slow that they would be all but imperceptible to the enemy. Hathcock covered his full body in a ghillie suit, which would seem to be nothing more than another mound of grass, and it would take someone with a photographic memory to notice the incredibly gradual change in the landscape as he crawled forward for 4 days.
Ang tawag yan, tactics, movement techniques, no? At ano yung tactics na i-apply mo in specific, sabi yung iba dyan, opsik. Nasa infographic show na nga eh. Nandito pa nga sa libro, ano yung ginawa. So yan lang. Yung huwag mang negativity. Diniscuss ni Rangers yung tactics.
days and 3 nights, Carlos went without food or sleep, inching ever closer. Even animals were unaware of his presence, with wild boar and deer grazing just inches away. At one point, a deadly viper slithered next to him and over him. A single bite enough to kill him in seconds. Hathcock simply froze and let the viper pass on, then continued on his own way. As he neared
Dito sa libro, ang sabi, bamboo viper, isa sa venomous snakes ng Vietnam. Ayan. So, tinapitabihan daw siya nung baboy damo, ng mga usa. Ang ibig sabihin, ano kaya ang amoy ni Carlos Hathcock? Hindi na siya amoy tao eh.
the camp, Hathcock began penetrating the outer defenses. Patrols of enemy soldiers walked by just a few feet away from him, completely unaware of the sniper's presence, and at one point a soldier nearly tripped over him. Finally, he crawled between 2 heavy machine gun positions and changed his crawling technique, so that now he was crawling on his side so as to leave an even smaller trail behind him. Then, finally, on the 4th day, the general stepped out into his front porch and yawned. A second later, Hathcock's bullet had pierced his heart. The camp erupted in alarms and all the soldiers rushed to the thickly wooded tree lines, ringing the camp, searching for Hathcock for 3 days. Meanwhile, Hathcock simply crawled back home the way he had come, completely clear of any enemy activity. Hathcock's second most famous kill would be his showdown against a Viet Cong commander known as Apache. A sniper himself, Apache had earned her nickname for scalping American POWs and for her brutality as an interrogator. An extremely sadistic woman, she took great pleasure in torturing American soldiers.
Actually, nakahuli sila ng isang Vietnamese na sundalo, babae. Tapos, siya yung nagsabi na ang tawag sa kanya kay Hathcock ay long trunk. At saka nag-deploy sila ng isang platoon to hunt him down. Yan.
And in November of 1966, Hathcock found himself in her backyard. Earlier that month, the Apache had captured a young Marine private and then tortured him for a day and a half, within earshot of his own unit. Hathcock was also there, and he could hear the screams from the soldier as the Apache skinned the private alive, cut off his eyelids, tore out his fingernails, and then finally castrated him with a knife. The soldier was then released to crawl back to his unit, but though Hathcock attempted to save him, the young private ended up dying in the bush. Hathcock swore right then and there that he would kill Apache. He and his spotter hit the thick bush and began moving to locate Apache and her unit of elite snipers. The game was a deadly one. Not only was Apache a very skilled sharpshooter, but so were all the men under her command. Yet it would be Apache who would make the fatal mistake when one day her unit popped out of the thick jungle and onto a trail for just a moment. Apache squatted so she could pee, though her soldiers urged her to get back up and keep moving. At that very moment, Hathcock's bullet dropped her from 700 yards away, and as she lay dying, he put a second round through her just for good measure. By this time, Hathcock's reputation had grown to a legendary status.
Yan. Nakikita nyo? 700 yards. Ganon siya kagaling. Kasi Wimbledon champion, campery, ibig sabihin long-range shooting sa US, ay bihasa siya. So, maliban sa marksmanship skills, natutunan na niya yung tactics, yung mga movement techniques, camouflage and concealment, and yung kanyang mga procedures, TTPs, techniques, tactics, procedures na ginamit doon sa Elephant Valley sa Vietnam, south of Da Nang, ay naging dahilan kung bakit siya ay naging legend. No? So si Carlos Hathcock actually ay nasunog yung kanyang katawan, no? Dahil nakaapak ng anti-personnel mine yung kanyang sasakyan, no? Sa isa sa movement niya, no? Siya ay naging nasa platoon level of command na siya. At dahil doon ay naging instructor na lang siya, no? Pero talagang hindi matatawaran ang kanyang kahusayan, kaya't merong isang baril na nakapangalan sa kanya. Yung sabihin natin M14 rifle na dati ay ginawang designated marksman's rifle, merong version yon na kung tawagin ay M21, no? Ginawa siyang sniper rifle. M21 sniper weapon system. At later on ay nagkaroon ng M25, no? Mas maganda na version, you can Google it. At ang pangalan yon ay M25 White Feather in honor of Carlos Hathcock, the legend. Si one shot, one kill. So ayan, maganda yung animation thanks to Infographic Show. You have researched well. Mayroon lang konting kulang. Of course, hindi nila mailalagay lahat sa kanilang content. And iniimbitahan ko kayo, please read One Shot, One Kill by Charles Sasser and Craig Roberts if you want to know more about the stories about Carlos Hathcock and many other snipers in the U.S. Campaign in Vietnam and also in World War II. Meron dito. Okay? So, maraming salamat sa inyong panonood, pakikinig, kaway-kaway sa mga kaibigan natin sa Philippine Marine Corps, sa ating mga kapwa snipers, lalo na sa Force Recon unit nila. Maraming salamat sa panonood. Bye-bye.